Mary, we meet. My name is Brooks, and I am the Witch of Sacred Isium. Today we're going to be making a papier-mâché statue in representation of the goddess Hecate, the goddess of witchcraft. We're going to be using papier-mâché, which is a compound material made of paper particles bound by glue or starch. Today I am showing you two versions, both costing less than $5 to make. Be sure to like, subscribe, and ring that bell. I appreciate it, and I appreciate you. Starting with version 1, which is made out of starch. The items needed is 1 cup of flour and 1 tablespoon of salt, 1 cup of hot water, newspaper or printer paper, large mixing bowl, and 1 roll of masking tape. Consecrating your statue. For the sake of making this tutorial, I did not set up a sacred space. However, if you are making a deity statue, you may want the entire process to be performed in sacred space, or simply choose to charge and consecrate once it is completed, which is my preference. You will see that I am starting with a few pieces of twigs. These are just twigs I found in my yard. I wanted to use them for the internal structure of the statue. You can use whatever your creative mind can think of to help you create the shape you want for your statue. Tightly rolled paper can work. This is your statue. It can be any shape and have as much or as little detail as you want. I also included the twigs because I work a lot with nature, and the twigs were dried and dead, which is also great for working with Hecate, but it's not needed. You can use anything that you like. Before we can make the papier-mâché, we need to create the statue form. Here, I am showing the tape, scissors, twigs, and the sheets of papers that I will be using to make the form of the statue. I also have scraps of cardboard, but ended up not using them, so I did not include them on the items needed list. Here I'm just using the masking tape to join my twigs together. I'm kind of playing around as I figure out what shape I want for my statue. Do I want the arms to be up? Do I want the arms to be down? Do I want arms at all? Like I said in the beginning, your statue can be as detailed or as minimal as you like. Here I decided to have my arms up. So now I'm gathering bundles of paper, and I'm just shaping the paper and taping them onto the statue to create the shape that I want. I'm going with the standard goddess look, to where I want to have wider hips, narrow waist, the arms up, the typical goddess statue look. As I work along my way, you'll see me using the scissors to trim off pieces just to make things look more unified. Once I'm happy with the way an area looks, I go ahead and use the masking tape to completely tape that area off. As I worked along my way, I decided I wasn't getting my arms right, and I didn't really like the way that the head looked on the statue, so I wanted to hide it. So I went a completely different direction and decided that my goddess was going to be wearing a cloak. So I put a hood and cloak on her, and decided since I couldn't get her arms to look right, I wanted to make it look like she had really long sleeves. And with the long sleeves, it allows for me to hide the shape of her arms, and I actually ended up liking the way that it looked. This is the completed form. While I was making mine, my daughter made the dinosaur while I made Hecate. For the purpose of being able to show both versions, I'm going to be using version number 1 on the dinosaur and version number 2 on Hecate. So with version number 1, we need 1 cup of flour, 1 cup of warm water, not boiling, and some cut up strips of paper. This is shipping paper, which is non-printed newspaper. So first you're going to mix in your flour, water, and salt. And that's my daughter saying hi. And just mix it all together until it's a smooth consistency. kind of like pancake mix. Then you're going to dip the strips of paper into the mix and scrape off the excess. Then just layer it overlapping until you have the entire form covered. Once you have it covered, go ahead and add on a second layer. While I'm going to be working on my goddess, I'm going to hand this dinosaur over to my daughter so she can finish the process, but I will show you what it looks like in the end. So this is once it's completely covered. She could have scraped off a little bit of the extra excess, but it really doesn't make a difference. It's all going to dry and look nice at the end. One of the pros to this is that you do get a smoother look. It dries within a day, so it has a faster dry time. And it's faster, but it is a little bit more messier. And as you can see, this is the completed look once she's painted it. It came out looking pretty nice, and she was really proud of it. So this is completed version number 1, made with starch glue and the paper strips. It dries to a firm form and painted with acrylic paint. So now for the extra fun stuff, paper mache version number 2. Version number 2 is a paper mache paste. The process is cleaner, however it is a longer process and takes longer to dry. It dries hard as stone and doesn't show strip lines. You can make it thicker if you want to add more detail. So version 2 paste. The items needed is 1 cup of craft glue, which is about 2 standard size bottles of glue, 1 cup of joint compound found in your paint section at box stores, 1.5 cups of wet bathroom tissue. I will show you how to get this measurement, and 2 cups of flour, add or minus some depending on how thick you want your mix, and 2 mixing bowls. This version list is only showing the items needed for the paper mache paste, not the paper and tape and other items you want to use to make the skeleton form for the base structure, as by this point your structure should already be made. So these are the items that I'm using. I'm showing 3 bottles of glue, but I only ended up using 2. This is the Crazy Art bottles, which is only about 35 cents a bottle. Elmer's glue is about 50 cents. The all-purpose joint compound, you can find that in your paint section at any box store, and this was about $3.50. And then I have literally the cheapest toilet paper, bathroom tissue that you can find. This was $1 for 4 rolls, and my 2 bowls. Here I'm just adding the dry paper to a bowl of warm water. I need to get my measurement of wet bathroom tissue. It ended up taking almost 2 full rolls of bathroom tissue to come up with my 1.5. There is a little bit left still in the bowl, but that's not enough to really make a difference in my measurement, so I'm just going to leave that. Now that I know that I do have the right amount of bathroom tissue, I'm just going to add it right back into the water so I can start breaking it up for the paste. I'm going to start taking out what I need for the paste, and I'm going to be squeezing out the water. If you have it too dry, it's not going to crumble and it's just going to be big chunks and lumps, which is going to be hard to mix up. So this is too dry. So you can see I try to break it open and it's just big chunks. We don't want that. So I'm putting it back in. You want to get most of the water out, but you want to have enough water in there to where it just kind of crumbles apart. So that was still a little bit too dry. Add a little bit more water to it. Try again. This is a good consistency. It's nice and crumbly. And as you can see, there's still plenty of water in there. I'm just going to go through the entire bowl and go ahead and squeeze out the water and put aside what I need. When it gets to the point that I can't really grab it out, I use a strainer to get the rest. If you don't have a strainer, you can use a towel or a cloth to drain out the water. So now that I have that, I'm going to add in my additional ingredients, starting with 1 cup of the joint compound. I'm using a rubber spatula. It just makes it really easy to scrape all of it out and to scrape the edges of the bowl. And then I need 1 cup of the glue, which again took about 2 bottles. I'm going to mix this up really well. Then I'm going to start adding in flour. I add in a little at a time until I get a consistency that sticks to the back of the spatula. Once I'm happy with the consistency, I get a Tupperware container so that way I can keep it from drying out. while I'm using it, I'll keep a cellophane over the top just to make sure that it stays wet. Now I'm going to be using my finger. I find that's the easiest. You can use a spoon or a smooth knife, but I do find it to be easiest using your finger. And you'll just scoop a little bit at a time and go ahead and coat the entire structure with the paste. Once you have the entire structure coated, if you want, you can let it dry and then coat it again. But I find that one coat, even on its thinnest, dries rock hard. So for myself, one coat is enough. This is my statue, fully coated. Now I'm just going to let it dry. This version takes about 2 days to fully dry. Version 1 only takes 1 day. So it's been 2 days, my statue is dried. This is what it looks like dried. You can see some little areas where it's a little bit thinner than others. I'm not going to worry about it too much. Like I said, even the thinnest area still dries hard, so I'm moving forward and I'm going to start painting it. Here I just knock it on the table a few times, then I tap on it with some paintbrushes to show you how hard it is, but I took the audio out so you can't really hear it anyways. I'm just using some scrap acrylic paints that I had laying around, but you can buy a set of cheap acrylics for $1 at Walmart, and those will work just as fine as well. For my statue, I paint her with colors that are sacred to Hecate, so I use red and black. I also paint a triple moon goddess symbol on her waist, and then I finish it off by adorning a key hanging around her shoulder. This is my finished statue. I do plan on going over her with a matte finish decoupage, just so she's not as shiny, but we'll save that for another day. I hope you enjoyed making this statue with me, and I definitely hope that you give it a try. With the version 2 paste, you can store that in the refrigerator for up to 6 months, in the freezer for up to a year. If you want to be more detailed, just add more flour and you can mold it kind of like clay and create more shapes. Remember, this is your statue. Make it as complicated or as simple as you want. Thank you again for joining me. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell as I have many more videos coming your way. And if you have any questions about how to make this or throughout the process, or if you just want to share your experience with making a statue, definitely leave me a comment. I will get back to all of them, as many as I can, but I'll try to do all of them. And as always, merry we meet and merry we part.